So, you want to be an it girl? Hi guys, welcome back to Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. I'm very excited for this episode. I've been doing this podcast for almost a year, and today I am joined by Alana, who helps me with the social media end of the podcast, and we're going to kind of just talk about the podcast and where we're at a year in.
Thank you. Very nervous. I know I'm a social media manager, but I'm not social in person, so I'm very scared, but I'm excited. I know you got this, so.
That's very nice. Because I was going to say, I was like, I think I'm a little thrown off because I'm like, fuck, I don't have the outline. Like, usually I not always. I'm not going to lie. Not always. I don't outline every episode, particularly people in influencing spaces now. I've gotten really good at it that I don't think I need to outline. I'm just like, I just really want to listen to what they say and go off a point of what they say. So I have very few bullet points, but I literally don't even have the outline.
I have like somewhat of an outline next to me.
Great.
Just because I know I'm going to mess up at some point. So like I'll somehow keep you on track.
Love that.
Though, like you're the person that's really good at like talking and keeping people on track. And I don't know how you do it, but every time you have a guest and they stop talking, like you're just able to go and just like bounce off ideas. I'm like, how is she still like your brain?
That's very kind because it's probably just like neurotic and narcissism something, which is fine.
My brain just doesn't work ever. So.
Anywho, so yeah, we're going to talk about the podcast.
Yeah.
So, year in.
Oh, it's been a year for you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep looking at my notes because I'm terrible. But,
that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to talk about your entire year and, like, how do you feel now that you've gone a whole year doing this, like, every week? Like, how do you feel about, like, starting this whole thing? What have you been learning? Like,
it's so fucking overwhelming to think about. I literally think about the fact that, okay, we'll start with, I had the idea for this podcast, and I'm not fucking lying. Please do not think I'm fucking lying, because I did start it during quarantine. Everybody started a fucking podcast during quarantine. But I've had this idea since college. The idea was very, very, very different when I was a freshman in college.
What was it?
I was obsessed with Girl Code at the time, like on MTV, and I thought like I could do that on a podcast. That would have been a great time for me to fucking do it because nobody else was doing it at that time. But like I was a freshman in college and like I did not have the skill set, the commitment, the wherewithal, whatever. So that I had the idea to start a podcast. Then around my junior year, going into my senior year of college, I thought about it again and I was like, okay, I want to do a podcast where like we get into like meaty topics and like it's okay to be like awkward about the things or whatever. You know, I was trying to make it like really fucking deep and also I'm telling no one this. Like I did not tell a soul like, oh, I'm gonna start a podcast. Actually, that's not true. I told a few people. I had like a bullet list of ideas for episodes and that was it. And then I had this random ass fucking idea of a name, which was actually Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep that because I think at the same time of me graduating college and also like giving up dance, which I haven't talked about much on the podcast, but like learning about myself in acting, sometimes you're labeled in types. And, you know, I would come back, I talk about it all the time, being neurotic. People would say like, oh, you're so neurotic. Tears. Like literal fucking tears. And so I was like, wait, why am I turning away from that instead of leaning into it, which is totally the wannabe
That's what
part.
I was going to say.
Yeah. And like, I was
let it be.
Let it be. I was like, why don't I make a podcast about confessing these things that everybody else thinks other people are doing and that you can't get together?
Yeah.
And so that became the idea. Then life things happened, good, bad, up, down, left, right, in between me graduating and quarantine. But even before quarantine, I really started to tell my close friends, like, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do the podcast. It's actually going to happen this time. I know I keep, like, throwing it fucking out there. There was also, like, a brief stint. I should remove them from YouTube. I made 2 YouTube videos where I was talking about, one, I think I was talking about what to wear to a music festival, and one I was talking about talking about shows to watch on Netflix that like you might have forgotten about. And they did horrible, very bad, but I was kind of like, maybe there's something in between the two.
It's good to also like test the waters and see like, what works, what doesn't, what you like talking about too.
Right. And like it's so fucking funny. Like I'm staring at the paper, like I thought I could pull it out of my ass and like I couldn't. So yeah, so that then quarantine hit and everybody started a fucking podcast, which kills me. But because I had the idea first. No, not at all. I mean,
I feel like everyone like finally had time to like sit down during quarantine. So it like finally got people like, oh, I have some downtime. I can finally start like my passion project. And it seems like that was going to be your passion project even before quarantine. So
it definitely
had the downtime.
Yes, I had the downtime. I was very excited that I had the downtime. But also like I was reaching a point in the pre-professional, professional acting space that like I had aggressively hit post-college that I was like, okay, this is such an out of my control career. There's a little bit more control. Like I learn each and every day you can have in moving your needle in the career, but it's out of your control.
Right.
I was like, I need something that I can have complete control over. So that became the podcast. So yeah, so it literally started with my best friend, who has still not been on the podcast, like helping me. Yeah, we'll get her here one day. She's come up in so many episodes, and I always call her that one friend. Helping me make the logo, helping me just like kind of even come up with like an idea. I made like a mood board. I started pinning things on Pinterest.
The branding.
That sounds like I was really together. It was more like slap.
Color schemes, whatever. Like,
color schemes, right.
Something good enough to go for Instagram.
Sure, which it wasn't, which is something we can totally get into too. But yeah, so I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I learned about mics. I watched YouTube videos, like so useful. Fucking love YouTube. Like, how do I even start? Like, what's a hosting service? What's a podcast mic? Because there's so much to be said about mics, you know, and I didn't know how to ask or, I was embarrassed to ask, whatever. So I started with two $70 mics that just plugged into the computer and it was a fucking nightmare. Like, and I was editing it by myself.
Oh, no.
So it would take me about, I think the first episode that I recorded is not the first episode of the podcast. It's the one with Sydney. And we were belligerently drunk, like belligerently by the end. The sound is horrible. I edited it all by hand. I think I did make it in Audition. I somehow did.
I was going to say like GarageBand or something.
No, I fucking knew better than to do that. Yeah. But I think we recorded it in GarageBand because I couldn't get it to work with mics in Premiere.
Right.
Whatever. And there's like weird feedback or I just didn't know what I was doing. I recorded it in GarageBand, exported it, and like literally edited by like literal finger hand, not using the cues, whatever.
Tragic.
Yeah. Tragic. And I think it took me 8 hours. And then I listened to it again and I was like, fuck this. I have to start completely over. Like, this is so bad. So that's where it started.
Great.
Yeah. So it's fair to say, like, honestly, it shocks me how long I waited to get better equipment.
I mean, it only went up from there, so it's kind of good that you started, you know, figuring it out more hands-on, and then as you went on, you were like, okay, learning like the equipment that I need, etc. Like,
right, and I didn't have this situation with this table. I was recording on my desk, which happens to be glass, so sound would get picked up, and I would edit it out. So there was a breaking point of a day. I was like, I'm hiring an editor, like, to edit the sound because it would take me 4 to 6 hours because at the end of the day, that's not what I do. I had interest in learning and I'm glad I did because I do know a few little things that I'm like, don't hit the mic or don't slam the glass down, which still happens, but like just the knowledge about that. So I'm very appreciative that I did it. But at the end of the day, not an editor, shouldn't be editing. Outsourced that.
Well, also, like, a quick side note, but how, like, did acting ever help you at all, like, with learning, like, equipment and stuff like that? Like, or, like, producing? Because I know sometimes you produce, too. Like, how did that play into, like, starting your own podcast?
The narcissism. I'm kidding.
That too.
That too. I think it did help because on one hand, I was like, I can figure it out. Yeah. I might have to ask.
Like, I've been behind the camera already. So, let's just do it again.
It did. I mean, I have taken like one film class at my acting
That's all
studio.
you need, that and YouTube.
But, like, you know, he's very resourceful. I know people like Eric, who's behind the camera, who, like, do help with things. And, you know, it just started, like, you know, moving the needle. And, you know, then I was like, okay, like, yeah. So, yes, in a way it did, because I was like, oh, I do know. Or, you know, like, even if I don't know, I'm just going to try. And, like, but there became a clear point where I was like, I need to upgrade. Like, I upgraded the mics, I upgraded to an editor, whatever. So, yeah, that was a point, too. And at the same point, like, it goes back to, like, the acting thing, though. It was like, I had this, like, deep idea in my head, like, it's going to be all about, like, you know, women empowerment, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, great. Every week I get up here and I talk about, like, somehow entertainment a little bit.
I mean, but it's fun. It's like, I was about to say it's entertaining. But it is. It's like a lot of people want to hear, like, not a lot of actors and actresses, like, especially the ones that are, you know, trying to make it in LA. Like, they don't talk about the trials and tribulations of making it in LA. Like, I haven't heard the non-glamorous side until this podcast.
That's really nice.
Because everyone on Instagram, it's always like the best parts of you. Like oh my gosh, I just landed this. And oh my gosh, I'm going out to brunch here. But, like, you don't see that they're, like,
that's so
crying,
funny.
Trying to, like, memorize lines for 3 hours in their bedroom.
It's fucking hard and it's not cute. And, like, you know, there's not always a lot of success. And, like, that just kept coming up because that was so much of my identity of being, like, a wannabe.
Right.
And, like, imposter syndrome, which is becoming such a overused term on, like, you know, whatever. But yeah, I was having, like, a little bit of that. But I was like, why lean away from that? Someone else feels the way I feel. And I completely lost my train of thought, but I was going to say something about that too.
Well,
let me ponder that one.
I mean, well, now you know that, like, you've been getting so many guests on the podcast that, like, you're not alone in those feelings too. Like, how has it been, like, getting guests on the podcast, getting to, like, talk to people from different parts of life?
Totally.
And, like, different
spaces,
different, like, careers, and they still all kind of have, like, a similar theme. Like, we're all trying to make it in LA. So, like, how has it been, like, interviewing people, getting to learn their stories and stuff?
It's been really good. It's also made me realize, like, there's just really so many people. Yeah. Like, they're really, and, like, I'll be also very honest, like, in the beginning, for some fucking reason, maybe because it was the height of quarantine, I got guests really easily. Like, I got really big guests, which, you know, did or didn't help. Who's to say? Not like, you know, we're standing on the Eiffel Tower, like, popping champagne off. Like, there's still a lot of work I want to do here. But, like, you know, I got guests really easily. Because, like, and I do think, like, I had put ideas into, like, what I wanted it to be. And, like, very interesting guests. And then at one point it just, like, took a deep twist. I was like, I can't get fucking anybody to be on my little ass podcast, me sitting behind my, like, Zoom meeting, like, do.
Oh my God.
But it was nice because, and it still is really nice. I'm just like, wow, like, people really do also feel like they want more. They want to keep going, or, you know, they're coming up with their identity and that's really part of them, instead of, like, fitting such a mold of what we think things are.
Right. And I mean, I'm even moving to LA. I know a lot of your guests have been, like, you know, they've traveled here to chase their dreams and stuff. I mean, me is, like, even a local. Like, I'm one of the rare locals here.
Yeah, but do you still feel that, though?
It's crazy to see. I don't know, because, I mean, even I ended up in the entertainment industry. Like, it just happens.
Yeah.
Living here, but I don't know.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting to, like, just. I'm very lucky and privileged that I, like, have a house here, and my family's been here for, like, decades. So, like, I don't have to struggle as much, which is kind of nice. So I get to do the, like, la-da-da, I get to do my thing.
But that's sick.
But, like, it's so admirable, like, getting to see everyone that's, like, moving here and hustling, and, like, they have big dreams and aspirations, and that's incredible. Like, I've never seen someone more driven than, like, a person trying to make it in LA.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I talk about this sometimes, but some people, I'm very fortunate and, you know, have privilege, and, you know, I'm very lucky to have a family that's very supportive towards me. But, like, I do know people that, like, you know, struggle so hard financially, emotionally, whatever, relationship wise, and, like, they still stick it out, and it's the most impressive thing. Like, literally, I'm going to at them in this, and they're probably not listening.
Like,
but
no,
two
please.
of my friends in my acting studio, well, one in his roommate, they literally lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, living room. There's 4 or 5 of them, and two of them lived in the living room on the floor, and the rest lived in the bedroom. And they lived in Hollywood, and there was no parking. It came with no space. They literally would sleep in their cars in the middle lane just to avoid getting a ticket. Never gave up. The 2 that I'm close with still very here. Like, living the dream and thriving. Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it takes grit. Well,
yeah, because LA loves to, like, weed out people as much as possible. Like, they're... it's such a struggle. So, like, yeah, if you can, like, if you have that determination and that drive, like, you're gonna end up, once you... I don't know. You'll end up sleeping in your car, but then it'll pay off in the end.
It is going to pay off. And that's, this is questionable for me to say, but I'm going to say it. It's one of the things I've actually liked about COVID is some people have left. And I'm like, you know what? Either you've done what you need to do and you need to leave, or you've realized this is not the life for you. And that's fine. In my opinion, get the fuck out of the way.
Controversial opinion, but
Controversial opinion. I'm like, you know what? You can fucking leave. You can go. I don't mean it that harshly. I sound really, like, arrogant when I say that. But, like, at the same time, I'm like, this isn't for everyone. And that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
And also, like, move out of I'm still waiting in line, so, like, you can scoot.
Oh my gosh,
but so I don't know, it's been interesting. To say the least.
Well, also getting into this, because we're talking a little bit about, like, what you've learned about, like, debunking on your podcast. Let's also, you talk a lot about social media on this podcast. Tell me what you've learned about social media, even, like, if it's been, you on the social media for the podcast, or just, like, learning from all the guests, like, how they interact with people and how, they use Instagram or, like, TikTok. Totally. Like, what have you learned? Like, there's so much to talk about in this space too, but,
who better to talk to this than you?
Oh gosh.
Social fucking media. I can't with you. It's such a love-hate relationship I have with, and maybe it's because, like, at the end of the day, like, I just fucking love TV. But, like, that's forever going to be my platform. Like, Netflix, like, we've been doing it since I was, like, 13. But, like, social media... It's so hard. I know I sound really whiny.
You feel like you finally, like, got the hang of it?
No.
And then something new happens, like TikTok. Like, I think TikTok probably happened, like, around quarantine when it started, like, popping off. And, like, that was already, like, oh, we finally got really good at Instagram, and now there's this new thing that we have to like, video. Like, and oh my God.
I think I don't know. I'm a little bit of, like, I love Instagram, but, like, kind of like I'm having a flame with TikTok.
Same
like,
here.
I love TikTok.
I finally, like, Instagram is dying down for me, and I'm on the TikTok train now. So it keeps fluctuating.
Sometimes at night, I'll be sitting on the couch and I'm just watching videos, and I literally turn to my boyfriend Hunter, and I'm like, you have to remove the phone from my claws. Like, take the damn phone out of my claw and, like, remove me from it.
Otherwise, I'll be here for another 5 hours. Like,
actually, literally. So yeah, no, social media. I thought I was being so cool. Had a very good, I thought was a very good idea to, like, make it very Tumblr-y, and, like, I never wanted to have my face, and I didn't want to have an identity, and, like, also, I can't fucking spell, and I can't write complete thoughts.
It's hard.
It's hard, and, like, it's just, I'm dyslexic. It's really fucking, I think I cheated and, like, skimmed my way through every grammar assignment I have ever had.
I literally have a degree in writing and speaking, and, like, I have this, like, straight up, I was trained for, like, newspaper writing.
That's great.
Like, spelling and sentence structure, and I still have to, like, to this day, I'm still, like, hoping that autocorrect is going to spell the word accidentally correctly for me, because I still don't know how to, like, stupid words.
Yeah. It always makes me think of that Kim Kardashian clip where she talks about, like, spelling angel or angle. And, like, I remember when she said that, I was like, damn, girl, like, I fucking feel you. Like, but yeah, honestly, the truth is, I don't like it. I don't love social media.
It's tough.
As a content creator influencer.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I ever thought I was going to go down that path, it's even more a harder no. And I think I even said that to you the first time we talked. I was like, I don't want to be an influencer. Like I was like, don't catch me. I will never try on outfits. I do realize like I like making the funny comments. That's my moment. That's probably it though for me. Also then I had to like get over so many like self-judgments I had made about social media. Like I was like, oh my God, people who talk to their story are so annoying. And even though I have good friends that do it and I don't actually think they're annoying, but then I sit there and I think like everyone thinks I'm a narcissist. And then I actually was like, oh wait, like actually I can like tell funny stories on my Instagram and talk to my phone or just like write out the little blip that happened. That was something I realized I could do more.
Definitely. I mean, and it comes with a mentality too. Like sometimes you think like, I don't know, if when I'm using Instagram, at least personally, like if I'm just using it for my personal account, like it's easier for me to just talk to the camera and like make that Instagram
exact
story.
Opposite.
But when I'm talking about like a business account or something, like I don't want my face on there. I don't want to like say anything. Like I'm so like hesitant about doing anything. Like it's my personal Instagram is just like my safe haven. Like I can post whatever I want. God.
That's why you're good at it.
Well, I used to always want like an aesthetic and stuff. And now Instagram has become so businessy that like my personal account is just like mostly unedited photos. Like I will just throw whatever, like, and it's kind of become like just like, I don't know, kind of my camera roll.
I love that though.
Yeah.
I love that. And like, that's also probably why you're good at social media. I feel the opposite. I'm like, oh, I can like I'll make this silly story on the Confessions Instagram over mine. Like I never talk to my Instagram.
But that's good though, because then you feel like safer on that.
I do.
space.
And I can be like, here's all the things I did today. Cause also I do have like such an insecurity of like, oh, people think like, I'm just like, da-da-da, like I want to be an influencer. I'm having this podcast. I'm an actor. I work at a production studio sometimes, but also like sometimes like, what do I do? So like, I was like, no, sometimes I'll put a little, these are the things I do. And honestly, I could do it more. But yeah, the posts, the editing of creating content, I did get a little like fritzy with Canva, and that was
We stand Canva.
We stand Canva, but that's her. Honestly, it made me realize like, oh fuck, being an influencer is like so much more work.
It used to be so like fun and easy and like, oh, I'm just gonna post my silly little Instagram post. But now Instagram has become such a business hub, and like the word influencer has kind of become tainted. Yeah, it's so heavy now to say like I'm an influencer. Like once someone hits 10K, they're like, oh my gosh, now I'm a businesswoman.
That has been the biggest change in my mindset from doing this podcast.
Exactly.
Huge. And you and Hunter's sister have greatly impacted this mindset. I used to think that. I was like, oh, when you hit 10K, like, you fucking made it. Like, done it.
It's so
no. And now I literally hear people talk about it and they'll be like, oh, she has like 11.5 followers. And I'm like, if she's not close to 1 million, I don't think that now, which is wild.
So even just me from like a social media like manager standpoint, like nowadays, and it depends on the client, but like nowadays, like smaller clients, you have to even just be at least like 100K.
Yeah.
And like the bigger accounts, you have to, like you said, you have to be at like 1 million or more.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy to think about. But then again, like so many people rode that like Instagram like train, like influencer train, and they were like building their influencer pages until now. And now like, I don't know if it was like a quarantine COVID thing or if it was like happening before where like Instagram just started dying down because like it kind of got oversaturated in the space.
Maybe also no one was like taking pictures that felt authentic because like literally if I see one more freaking garage photo, I will lose it. And I have one.
Yeah. Like, I think it got a little too crazy. Now that's why everyone loves TikTok more because like you can just be in your bedroom and like just rant about something stupid. Like, oh my God, like my fridge, like I don't know. I made a coffee this morning. Like, LOL. Totally. I don't know. But I feel like TikTok's now the platform where you can be authentic and have fun and just like film your everyday things. Like, I don't know if you saw this is such a sidetrack, but like, I don't know if you saw Emily Mariko.
No idea who
on TikTok. Okay. She literally had maybe like, I don't know, 40K followers on TikTok at like 6 months ago. And she made this silly little rice bowl video.
Oh, it's the salmon thing.
It's the salmon rice bowl, girl. Okay. Yes. So now she has, I want to say last time I checked, which was like last week, because I made the salmon bowl, which was amazing, by the way. But now she has like, 6 million followers? And like, last month she had like 500,000. So the fact that she just blew up like that, but she was just doing her thing. She was cooking, like, and it was kind of an ASMR thing where she didn't even have to speak. Yeah. She was just like, here's my leftovers. I'm going to mash it up together, put some sriracha, call it a day. And then everyone tried it and they were like, wow, you're a genius. Yeah. So it's just so weird how people blow up, but like, TikTok, you're having more fun with it. Like, you don't think about like, oh, I'm gonna go viral with this video. It's like, I'm making a salmon rice bowl, and I'm just gonna like film it because it's fun and it sounds cute. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been interesting because like, even though that's something else I've learned from having some smaller influencers, what like on the show is like, also though then on like the flip side, like, I mean, I see it even in the downloads, like they fucking kill it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, so do you actually have the most return to spend? I mean, no, because $1 million is different than 10K, but like, you do well in percentage because they do well even on the podcast in percentage. And like that, because like people are loyal. Yeah. So loyal to you. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I mean, I have a lot. I don't think I had disrespect for influencers before, but I have a lot more respect for people who do social media and they take all the guff for doing social media. Yeah. And then also like at the same time, like every career comes with a little bit of guff and that's okay. You know, I want to have more people on the podcast on social media talking about the mistakes they've made on social media, like over editing, believing in posting wrong times, like only hanging out with people to get that Instagram photo. Like that's something I want to see get talked about in the next, I guess we're going to be on next season. I'm making a next season. I just fucking decided that. But yeah, I've learned a lot about social media, and at the same time, I feel like I know nothing still.
Oh, yeah. Like, well, okay, so let's get into that, too. It's like you've had this podcast for a year. So, like, what's changed? What's grown? What have you learned from social media for your podcast specifically, like, from day one up until today? Like, I mean, there's a lot to learn, but, like, what have you, like, learned and, like, how have you grown since day one?
Since day one, I hired you.
Okay.
Well, that one friend did very kindly, and Hunter's sister at one point edit captions, help look at content, whatever.
Well, even just like, I don't know, like if you're on the account and just like scrolling through, like what have you been like taking away from like all that?
I just started writing a little bit more, like one or two. I want to edit some, don't worry. Like blog posty things, and I really like doing that.
Those are my favorite posts
because they kind of like go back to it. Also, Alana taught me a lot about putting my face on the Instagram. I did feel
coming soon.
Well, and also like the one or two photos that I actually in, you know, and having the video there, and like it's okay to identify. Not that I was trying to hide myself because I'm an actor and I do want people to know me in my heart. Like, it was hard for me to put my face out there. It was. Maybe because, like, I felt like, oh, I can hide behind the screen. I can hide behind the screen.
Well, especially you were starting out with just the podcast audio too. So you weren't even like recording video or anything. So you were like, okay, I can just speak. It's a little more like nerve wracking when you're on camera and when you're also like, speaking to an audience and stuff.
And that also came with giving up control. Because you have to remember at the beginning I was editing it. So like if I sounded stupid, I edited it out.
Right.
Then, you know, I got the editor, and at first, oh God, this is a big fucking confession, but it's very fucking honest. At first, I would always listen to them. And then suddenly I only started listening for the parts that I thought maybe like I didn't like in them. Mm-hmm. Now I never too rarely listen to them after they've been edited.
I think that's the healthier way,
I'm just like, nope.
And it's working so far.
It's the same with now that you have made, and Eric and, you know, the little team that it has become. The YouTube videos, I don't watch them.
Really?
No.
Oh my God.
I kind of skim through them.
I guess
go and like it.
Well, yeah, I guess that also goes hand in hand with, like, I've heard a lot of actors don't like watching themselves.
But I do. That's the thing. I like watching myself in acting.
I don't
like watching myself on the podcast.
I'm a singer, so, like, listening to, like, hearing my songs, I hate listening to myself. I hate looking at myself. Like, so I get you. Not wanting to watch. No. I mean, it might just be, like, a little overwhelming, too. Like, I'm sure watching the podcast.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
I get where you're coming from.
There's a couple isms that I know I don't like. Like, I look up a lot.
Yeah.
And I need to cut that out in acting. And also, I'd like to cut that out in the podcast. But also, like, I thought the whole point was for me to be myself on this.
Yeah.
So, you know what? No.
Be
for
raw
now,
and authentic.
That's not what I'm doing. For now, I'm not looking at the content. Because the idea of what goes behind it is what matters to me.
Yeah.
Not that, wow, did we digress from social media?
Well, okay, so circling back, like, being authentic and a little more, like, personal, like, I think Instagram nowadays, like you're saying, like, you're starting to do more blog posts. Like, I think that's coming back. I think so. That you thought it was coming back.
I think it's coming back hardcore.
Because, like, now, like I was saying earlier, like, everyone on Instagram has, like, kind of lost the whole, like, oh, we're tired of the influencer thing. Yep. Like, we just want to be more raw and honest. So, like, people are posting unedited photos and just posting, like, full-on blog, like, captions, which I love to read.
I like a little blog. I hate a novel.
Yeah, I mean,
spare me the novel.
It's definitely good to throw it in, like, especially, like, a couple times a week. But, like, even like, my favorite influencers nowadays, especially, like, when you write for the podcast, like, I love reading.
She's way too nice to me.
I love reading that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wanna. I mean, people follow influencers to, like, be a part of their lives. So, like, the more they get to know in the caption, the better. Like, you don't want a caption just being like, sipping my coffee, LOL, brunch, like, or like brunch date. Like, you want to hear all about their breakfast.
Sure.
You want to hear like all about how their week is going.
There is like a few people that I watch very closely. It's few. I don't have a bunch. Like, but, and so it's like, it's interesting. And also like, you know, I get back to the whole idea after all the rebrands in my head of the podcast was to share the experience of not, it sounds so cliche, but not being picture perfect.
Yeah.
Like, what is like to struggle? What's it like to learn these things? What's it like to be neurotic or, you know, insecure in moments, and like just kind of put that into it. And like, you know, I kept that so out of the Instagram, and that was a mistake.
Well, has it like helped like kind of get everything off your chest, like, and into your community, like
the community,
speaking your mind? Well, I mean, because you get to share your thoughts and experiences, and it's not just like festering up in your head. Like,
it is nice
to like.
I still get embarrassed
on Instagram. Oh my god,
I still get embarrassed.
Yeah,
I literally, I almost am like, oh, type this so fast.
Yeah.
Just send it off and don't think about it.
Yeah.
Like, and then narcissist, find myself reading it once it gets posted, and I'm like, oh no, like that was actually like a nice thing to share.
Good,
or like, it's nice. And like now I honestly think I will read people's, I'm still hesitant to it's a novel, but longer blog posts, because I'm curious, you know, like it is cool to see what is actually up with people, not just like what is the picture.
Definitely.
What's the story with the picture? Also, like, you know, so, or why does that image mean something to you? There's so many things that we can go on and on and on about, which also like are somewhat common sense, so that's fine.
So you also very recently transitioned into like filming videos for the podcast. How has that transition been for you? And like moving forward, like how does it feel? I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
Gosh. It feels good. No, it feels really good. It feels really good because I feel like I can really show people that, even though I think podcasts have blown up.
Yeah.
Some people don't listen. Some people just aren't auditory, and I'm super auditory, even though I love TV. I'm super auditory, and like that visual part has been really cool. And like, I think, you know, you kind of see people's mannerisms with it, and that adds a whole nother layer. And also like, it is cool to look. Oh, not that I look deeply, but I look a little bit back on stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, like, you know, it's really interesting because like, also like, I'm thinking about like, can't wait. I mean, it's already happened to one person who was on the show in the very, very beginning. Then someone is going to blow the fuck up, and I'm like, I have that YouTube video of them. Yeah. And it's like, that's crazy.
Right.
And I hope that for every single guest that has been on the podcast, like, you know, it's crazy. And like, you know, also it is cool to like build that up. I feel like it's having video is a very big stamina thing. Yeah. Like it's like this. Did I even say that right? Is that the
stamina?
Stamina? I've never said that right. It's like at first it's like recording every week and then, you know, and then now it's, you know, getting footage every week and whatever, every other week or whatever it is. And, you know, that it's literally a muscle.
Yeah.
Like literally also to like sit here and be like, you know what, we've only done it like twice. But there's been a day where we filmed 3 of these in a row.
Right.
And it's like, I've asked these people to be here. I've asked the guests to be here. Like, it doesn't matter what the fuck is happening with me. Pull it together because not only is there audio, there's now visual, and you need to look, act, and listen and be involved in every single moment. So
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how.
I'm just crazy.
It's already hard enough for me just to ask questions for this one specific episode, but like
we'll get used
every
to it
week, and you're flawless at.
That is not true.
I always compliment you off camera, but you're so flawless at like asking questions, coming up with topics, like keeping the train of thought going. Like I do not know how you work, but it's so amazing. Like I feel like you're the perfect person to have a podcast for that reason. Like, and that's why I think you do so well with this.
Thank you.
Not to like, it's true.
No, I will say thank you. That is very kind of you to say. And I do really appreciate that. And I will not be watching my reaction to any of that. So that's good. Or listening to it. Yeah. So that's good for me. But thank you. That actually does mean a lot. And I honestly, I do love doing it. And like, you know, I will, even though there's a lot of people in the space and like, you know, move out of my line, encourage, if you want to do it and you have an idea, like, and you're going to commit. That's the thing too. I've seen a lot of people start a podcast and I've seen 3 episodes or like 2 episodes. And I'm like,
we've all attempted at one point.
And that's okay. I had an attempted YouTube career.
Yeah.
That lasted 2 videos.
We all
but like, you know what?
Too.
Like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
But like, at some point, decide. Like, I knew after the second video, I was like, no.
Right.
Definitely not this. Not for me.
And like, I wouldn't say quarantine is necessarily like over with and like, but it's
let's pray.
We're hoping COVID is dying down a little bit and like let's hope it stays that way. But like how is it now like kind of coming out of quarantine and still like continuing the podcast?
Well, there are very good days that this works like an oiled machine. Mm-hmm. And there are other days where we can't get a guest. We email 1 million people. We text Eric and saying, are you free this day? Are you free this day? Are you free this day? And then I don't even tell him which day we actually decided on it, you know? And so there's days like that too. Right. So it's like
the stress is a little higher, but.
And then there's literal 3 or 4 weeks it goes like literally oil. Yeah. It's just like and perfect. So it's like you never know and you just have to kind of take it. And I think this to me is a long-term project, like this, which is something I don't not want to get into in the next year, but I don't even know if it will happen in the next year that I talk about it. But like, I have a very, very large plan for this.
Oh yeah.
And so like, this is about the consistency and the building and the, you know, what's the next level? What's the next step? Whatever. Because it's a muscle to take in so many different other places in my life and hopefully in your life and hopefully Eric's life and even our sweet editor who is in Pakistan. And, you know, that's the team.
Well, yeah, I mean, jumping off of that, like, what's next for the podcast? Like, what's in it for like the next year? You've been doing this for a whole year. Like, what's coming up in the future? Like, what guests do you want to have come on? And
oh my god! Well, I'll just say it now because I'd really like to fucking manifest it. One day, I'm going to have Paris Hilton on the podcast.
Oh, we love it.
It is going to happen because I think like
we stand
original it girl influencer is Paris Hilton in my mind.
I love her.
So other than having Paris Hilton on basically next week.
That's the biggest goal.
It's a huge one for me. I don't know, like, and it's like, there's no, like, side angle of that. It's just like, I want to interview Paris Hilton.
Right.
So bad. Anyways, what's up in the next year? I think in the next year, I talked a little bit out earlier, I want to talk more rawly now that I feel like I can like go for it. And, you know, it's wild. Sometimes like I've never met these people before in my life and they just show up and I've stalked them a little bit and like I kind of know what they're about, but like I want to go deeper. Like I said, do you edit your photos? Like, do you remove posts if they don't do well? Like, how do you actually deal with people shitting on you in your comments?
The questions we all want to know answers
right.
to.
I want to go deeper in that realm.
Yeah.
And also, like, you know, we have talked, I think, a lot about living in LA and, like, was there a moment that was worth it or giving up or whatever. And so, sure, that will still be, like, an undercurrent of the podcast. But also, you know, kind of, like, what's not working for you to get your dreams?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to know, like, why not? Why not? Why not this? Why not that? You know, whatever the limiting parts of your life is leading you to this part, because you're somewhere and you're successful, and okay, what actually is next? So what's stopping you between your not even A, but your B and your C?
Right.
So that's a little bit. And then also something I've been very reluctant to talk about on the podcast is I definitely want to get a lot more into dynamics between people.
Oh, yeah.
And friendships and, you know, what it's like to get out of friendships or stay in friendships, like, you know, boundaries and, you know, that whole thing is like, honestly, a baby leg space sometimes for me. And I definitely want that to be more of a thing. And, you know, talking about that and also like, you know, when in this point in your career or whatever space you're in, like you need to leave certain things. And, you know, so I definitely want to get into that. And then also something I've not touched as much on the podcast is like, I do want to get into like aesthetics and like how the way people see themselves. Like I definitely would love to talk a lot more about plastic surgery and medical procedures and whatever, and you know, even talk about my own experiences there. And like, I think it's very interesting. And like, I see a huge shift going on in so many platforms where people are really starting to openly talk about that kind of stuff. And like, you know, so that's where I see. And then also we have a little bit of a rebrand facelift of the podcast look coming. So that's,
I don't know when this episode's coming out, but like I'm so excited for the next few weeks just on our Instagram alone.
Yeah, me too.
Like, oh my gosh, the rebrand is coming. We have like a giveaway that's gonna
definitely talk about that too.
It's an announcement. We have a giveaway coming out in a few weeks just to like celebrate the 1 year.
Yeah, and like some of the stuff we're giving away are stuff of people's who've been on the show. And that's really exciting because like also like I definitely don't want to forget the people. I really don't think I'm ever going to forget every single guest that's been on the show. Right. Which is crazy.
I mean, it's good. You've got so many memorable.
It's really cool.
Amazing. Like so friendly. Such friendly guys. Yeah. Like, and I've been lucky enough to like be here for.
I always want someone to be a dick, but no one's been a dick.
Darn it. Like, yeah. Like. Everyone's nice. What the fuck?
I know. Who would have thought?
Right. But yeah, and then we have I wouldn't say a face reveal because your face has been on the feed, but like we have a big shoot reveal, I guess, and your profile picture. I'm very excited for that. I know it's just a profile picture, but like.
Why did I say thank you? You did all the work for that.
No, but you killed it, and like I'm excited for the reveal for that.
Me too.
And like
we put a lot of thought into that, which I love.
Coming,
yeah. I'm very excited. I'm very excited just to keep going, and like you know, I know we're not like at the biggest level of what it could be, and it's not even about that. It's just about like moving forward with putting out the things we want to put out, and like in the best way, and like eventually, you know, at the end of the day. My favorite freaking quote. It's, you know, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm very happy. And I'm very happy to have you guys. And I'm very grateful to have you guys helping me. Eric back there behind the camera.
Yay.
And my lovely editor and Alana. So it's been a good year. I can't believe it's been a year.
I know.
Literally mind blowing. It blows my mind.
If I had a drink, I'd say, I mean, here's to another year, regardless.
Drink it up.
My invisible champagne.
I think I recently drank on an episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the wine.
That was fun. But sometimes it's just not the move. Sometimes it's fun. But yeah, anyways, we digress. Guys, yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Seriously, thank you so much for listening to even 1, 3, 0 and just subscribing to these episodes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for checking into any inch of this that you did, of the social media, the TikTok, whatever. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.